Hello everyone! Welcome to our webinar, Search Without Screens, What Amazon Echo and Google Home Mean for Online Retailers. We are so excited to have you here this afternoon with us and excited to share some of our results with you. So my name's Julia Rizzio and I'm the Netelixir University Coordinator and I will be the host of your webinar today. Before we get into the webinar presentation, I wanted to go over some housekeeping guidelines. If you experience any technical difficulties during the webinar, please type it into the question bar at the bottom of your GoToWebinar panel, and we'll be sure to address them as soon as we can. Also, if you have any questions at all during the webinar, please be sure to also type them into the question panel, and at the end of our webinar, we'll have a question session where we'll answer all of these. So before we begin, here's a little bit about Netelixir. We're a team of 100 plus fanatically analytical search marketers operating in 3 countries. To the right, you can see some of our clients. We are also a preferred partner of both Google and Bing, and also the search marketing preferred partner of UPS. Ultimately, our value is to combine our expertise and our proprietary technologies to help businesses get found, convert visitors to customers, and acquire game-changing consumer insights. So here's a little bit about what Netelixir can do for you. In the first column, you see some of our services. These are paid search and shopping management, search engine optimization, and paid social management. We also have products in the form of our LXR technology. These include free tools found at our LXR marketplace for small businesses, and also larger paid tools for like LXR Guide for small businesses. We also offer consulting services like web analytics, digital marketing strategy, and on-demand tech support. And so here's a little bit about our speakers today. First is me. I'm Julia Rizzio, and as I mentioned before, I'm the Netelixir University Coordinator and a Princeton University graduate. I'm also joined today by my colleague, Alyssa Zaremba. Alyssa is a Netelixir Marketing Manager and a Rutgers Business School graduate. Hello, everyone. So here's a little bit about what you can expect to learn in our webinar today. First, we're going to go over virtual assistant and voice search trends just to set the stage and give you a little background. Then we'll get into our research and why we decided to conduct this Google survey. Then we'll get into the survey and the methodology. Then we'll give you 3 insights from our survey, 3 implications based on these insights, and then 3 recommendations for retailers. All right, before we begin, I just wanted to do a quick poll. Do you own an Amazon Echo or Google Home? I'll give you guys about 30 seconds to answer this. Okay, awesome. So it appears that we're 50-50. So some of you own the poll, some of you own a Google Home or Amazon Echo, and some of you don't. So hopefully today we're able to give you a little more background and some information on this. Okay. Sorry, it's just trying to get the next slide up. Okay, so before we dive into the webinar, I just wanted to give a little bit of background on voice search implications in general, and then talk about the evolution from the big screen, desktop, to the small screen, mobile and voice search, to no screen, which would be voice-first only devices like Amazon, Echo, and Google Home. So before Google and pretty much dominated the search engine bar, there were some other engines like Ask Jeeves and Alta Vista, and before we would search in long questions like, what will the weather be tomorrow? Or how do you make chocolate chip cookies? But as we evolved into more sophisticated searchers, and Google took over as the search engine giant that it is, our searches became more the lines of keywords. Instead of typing, how do you make chocolate chip cookies, I would just type in chocolate chip cookie recipe. So retailers and marketers were able to start bidding on keywords, and therefore businesses were able to optimize for search. But voice search is a totally different ballgame from desktop and mobile search. Most people don't ask Siri, Alexa, or OK Google something in a phrase of keywords. Rather, it appears we've come full circle and they're starting to ask questions. Voice search is more like talking to your friend. These voice assistants, you're not just going to ask them chocolate chip cookie recipe. You would say, how do I make it? So, but the voice search has been around for a while, since Siri and the iPhone 4S. But the question is, why is voice search getting so much attention now? So a lot of why voice search is getting so much attention is because of these two devices, Google Home on the left and Amazon Echo on the right. Both are voice-first devices that work by you asking them a question and them spouting out an answer. So it seems that we're split half and half with the audience who owns Google Home and who owns Amazon Echo. So I'm going to give you a little bit of background about these tools just so we understand it going into the webinar. So Google Home and Amazon Echo acts like a home-centric virtual assistant that is capable of listening to your questions and then provides you answers. So for example, you would say, okay, Google, what is the weather outside today? Or Alexa, what time is my appointment? And then it would speak the answer back to you without requiring any manual inputs. They're also capable of integrating your calendar to remind you of appointments, playing music, and also controlling internet-connected devices in your home like lights or thermostats. Right now, the key difference between the two is that Amazon Echo, you can actually make purchases without ever looking at a screen. And this is because Amazon Echo is connected to your Amazon Prime account. So since Google Home and Amazon Echo operate without a screen, this marks the latest step in the greater evolution of search and shopping. So here's a little bit about why we conducted the survey. Given that Amazon Echo and Google Home were given so much hype this holiday season, we wanted to just understand more about voice search and specifically what voice without a screen would look like for the consumers. So Amazon Echo hit record sales this past holiday season. There's now almost 10 million voice-first devices in circulation. In addition, there's really no clear winners in the voice search market. Marketers are still grappling what it means for retailers, and more importantly, there is no clear way to even track what searches are coming from voice search. So if retailers are able to capture this, they will be at a clear advantage. Also, 2017 is the year that industry leaders are predicting for voice-first devices. If you look at the graph on the right, you see that in 2015, when Echo first started, it was only about 3.5 million devices in circulation. However, this year, this more than doubled to about 9.5 million. So in 2017, they're imagining that it's going to maybe triple, and there'll be 30 million devices in circulation. So with that many in consumers' household, there's no doubt that Amazon and Google will look for ways to monetize these devices. So this presents a whole new set of challenges for retailers, which of course we will be discussing further in this webinar. Here's our survey methodology. We used Google Consumer Surveys. Our audience was owners of Amazon Alexa and Google Home in the United States on the Google Consumer Survey Publisher Network. And basically the way we were able to determine this is we had a filter question where we asked, do you own Amazon Echo or Google Home? And if they said yes, they were able to continue with the survey. If they said no, then they would be filtered out. Our sample size was 500 and was run on December 13th. All right, and now we're going to get on to the good stuff. I'm going to pass this over to my colleague Alyssa, and she will be sharing our 3 insights, 3 implications, and 3 recommendations.
Okay, thanks so much, Julia, and hi to everyone. So here is the first insight that we wanted to highlight from our survey. Our study found that 40% of people find voice search to yield inaccurate results still. And here are the implications. So natural language processing still has room for improvement. The tech giants still have to work out the kinks. That said, voice search has come a long way from something that is still relatively new to the mainstream. The majority of retailers do not have this as their focus right now, so there in itself presents the opportunity. If you're optimizing for voice search now, you are miles ahead of competition. One thing on the SEO side that we recommend is to focus on enhanced structured data. This makes your content a lot more crawlable for search engines. You put a tag into your code that signals to the search engine what your content is talking about, and this allows the search engine to easily relay that content to a user when it's requested. Structured data is important for desktop and mobile as well, but we really want to emphasize its importance when it comes to voice. So the user is relying on the virtual assistant product like Echo or like Google Home to relay the correct information to them when asking a question or giving a command. The search engine needs to pick up on these contextual clues and keywords in a website's content in order to provide the most relevant answer. So think of structured data as those blatant clues in your code around your content that makes that easy for Google. Here is a visual representation. So if I say, okay Google, how many calories are in real Texas chili? Google will crawl the code and see that in food.com's code, they have structured data in place, and that easily specifies that 331.9 is related to calories. Google is then easily able to categorize this content as calories and relay that information back to me. Okay, here's the second insight we want to share from our survey. 51.5% of people use voice search to research or make a purchase. This percentage is the highest for 18 to 24-year-olds in particular, with 65% of them researching or making a purchase with voice search. Voice search is already one of the paths to purchase for consumers, but we see this trend evolving even further. Currently, voice search seems to be following in the footsteps of mobile in that in this early stage, it's great for lead generation and the top of the funnel buyer journey, just due to its current e-commerce limits as of now. However, we can't really rule out bottom of the funnel, especially as this channel evolves. For example, if someone desperately needs flowers for an anniversary, they'll say, okay, Google, flowers near me, and most likely go to the nearest physical store that it recommends. This would be an impulse buy rather than a considered research shopping. When you think of consumers purchasing on screenless assistants like Google Home and Amazon Echo, there are definitely barriers for retailers right now. For one, there's no advertising on screenless virtual assistant products yet. If there were ads, what are the implications of that? What would that mean? How would that change the ad game? Well, advertisers, they'd have to be very careful not to create a poor user experience. As Julia mentioned earlier, people and consumers look at Echo's Alexa and Google Home like they're a real personal assistant, their friend almost, or their housekeeper, depending on who you're talking to. They don't want their assistant or their friend rattling off radio-style ads to them. They also don't want to hear a list of 4 text ads being read aloud to them when they ask something like, Alexa, what are the best running shoes to buy? Secondly, there would be a need to develop a new monetary attribution model. As of now, cost per impression and the pay-per-click models, they don't translate well for voice search. That's why Google and others in the space are considering new models like pay per transaction. When you ask your Google Assistant to order chocolate strawberries for this past Valentine's Day, the company benefiting from the transaction would pay Google. So this could really be the biggest shift in advertising and certainly the attribution and monetary models in years. When customers are actively seeking suggestions, the friction between advertisers and the screenless world will be reduced, but we can't still ruin the user experience. Therefore, this model will have to be more conversational than any other advertising before, and it must feel as natural and as non-intrusive as possible, especially when I, as a consumer, am not asking for suggestions. If I ask Alexa, Alexa, order me toothpaste, in an adless world, she'll see what I ordered a few weeks ago and add Crest to my cart. But perhaps there's an opportunity for Alexa to say, in an ad world, I can order the same Crest whitening toothpaste for you as last time, but did you know that Colgate whitening toothpaste is on sale this week? So since there's no screen, and in order to not interrupt user flow, another implication is that there'll be fewer ad spots available on voice-first devices than on desktop and mobile screens. In this space of the future, going back to what Julia said earlier, we envision retailers needing to optimize for longer tail keywords, but even more so, creating a conversational content context around that. So here we just have a kind of funny example of some conversational content. Maybe this could be an ad of the future that you guys hear from your Amazon Alexa. Your phone told your Fitbit, that told your Nest, that told your Sonos, that told me you owe your wife an apology. 2 dozen red roses are only $29.99 for a limited time. So seems a little intrusive, maybe a little silly, but just an example of being more natural about your approach. Okay. So our third and last stat that we wanted to share with you from our research was around how people are purchasing with Amazon Echo right now. Before we get into the purchase breakdown that we have, we also wanted to know how are people using Amazon Echo in general. So here we have some of the statistics from our research and from our survey that breaks down usage behavior. So as you can see here, 45% of people using Amazon Echo or Google Home are using it for media purposes, to play music, 16% to read the news, to set timers and reminders is at 14%, control a home feature 13%, and right now 9% are using it, so they say, to purchase an item. So, and we found that this research and these stats pretty much align with any other, most of the surveys out there right now around the same. Okay, on to the purchase breakdown. So, as you know, as we said earlier, Amazon is the only one that allows for purchases right now. So here's just the breakdown of what exactly people are buying if they are. So 44% still say, I'm not making any purchases using my Amazon Echo. But those who are, they're mainly purchasing media, so entertainment, music, books. That's at 25%. 21% of people are buying everyday household items, though, like tissues, toothpaste, laundry detergent. 18% said they're actually purchasing apparel through their Amazon Echo, which may be surprising to some people just given that there's no screen to see what they're buying. 11% are in-app purchases, less than 1% noted others. So that 44% is really where Google can come in and really capitalize on that e-commerce platform that they're not currently involved with today. Okay, so implications. The initial product winner on Amazon, Echo, and Google Home will be the big brands. And this is just because they're more well-known. And once advertising comes into play, they'll have more buying power to utilize the top and growingly scarce ad spots in a space like this. For example, when you're thinking of laundry detergent, most people would think to ask for Tide just because of the high brand awareness. However, the initial service winners will be the apps. So Amazon Echo is very app reliant right now. It already has multiple third-party platforms connected to their device, like Uber and Domino's. All you have to say to Amazon Echo is, Alexa, order me an Uber, and then it will order it through the app on your phone. With customers searching for products or buying products and services with Amazon Echo, and most likely in the future Google Home, there will be a need to develop a new tracking system, though. Right now, Amazon only provides retailers tracking information related to usage patterns and the total number of what they call utterances related to their apps. So where does the immediate opportunity lie for the smaller retailers, though? It's definitely local search. So there's an opportunity for them to capitalize on that 44% who are not purchasing with Amazon Echo or Google Home. And what we mean by this is it may not be through buying products through these devices, but rather directing that foot traffic into your physical store. So businesses will need to optimize for local search to be successful here. And this does not only apply to Amazon Echo and Google Home, but certainly voice search in general and search in general as well. Local search on desktop, mobile, and voice looks very different across different platforms. When I type in flowers near me on desktop, I'll see 4 ads followed by the map and local listings. On the mobile screen, there'll be fewer ad spots and then local listings. On Siri, that voice image screenshot that you see on your far right, it'll only show you the local listing. So when we're talking about voice search without a screen, using Google Home and Amazon Echo, it's just important to have those local listings there, especially in this adless environment, because that's what it will be relaying to consumers when they're looking for a product near me that you carry. So how do you optimize for local search? We wanted to highlight some just quickly key 6 suggestions and recommendations for how to do this. You definitely have to prepare your business information and update your local business data providers. Thirdly, claim and optimize key local business listings. And you can't forget to optimize your own website and better that user experience. And lastly, in local search, reviews become increasingly important. So soliciting and managing customer reviews and checking back on them and up on them regularly is definitely key. Okay. And lastly, before we summarize and go through what we went through today, just want to ask a quick poll question. Would any of you ever make a purchase using your Amazon Echo or Google Home? Or if you don't own it already, would you in the future? Okay, we'll give it about 10 seconds. All right, so it looks like 75% of you said yes and 25% of you said no. Interesting for the percentage of you that said no. So I would think back to when e-commerce first started, right? And people said, oh, I wouldn't buy clothes online because I don't get to feel it. Just wondering in the future, is seeing something going to no longer be an issue? Are you going to be comfortable enough, or will the information relayed to you through voice search enough be enough to encourage you to buy something? I don't know. It's just things we have to think about, and it's definitely interesting as to where this field is going in terms of e-commerce and screenless voice search. Okay, and now I'll just hand it back over to Julia to wrap us up, bring us home.
Awesome.
Julia?
Thanks, Alyssa. So I know we just threw a lot of information at you, so here's a quick summary of research stats. First, 40% of people find voice search to yield inaccurate results. So this means that Amazon and Google still need to work out some kinks, and people in general need to work better with voice search. 51.5% of people use voice search to research or make a purchase. So people are using voice search at some point of the customer buying journey. So it's important to be thinking about this for your business. Then lastly, most people are not purchasing with Amazon Echo or Google Home right now. And when they do, it's strictly entertainment. But most likely, as this becomes more the norm, this is going to evolve into more of a purchasing power. Now we want to just share 3 key recommendations for retailers from our slides. And I want to just emphasize that these are not exclusive to Amazon Echo or Google Home or even voice search for that matter. If you put these recommendations in, then your business listing will, your website and mobile site will do better anyway. So our first recommendation is create conversational ad content. This impact will be a better user experience. Our next suggestion is enhance structured data for SEO. So this will mean that search engines will be able to easily relay key information to the consumer searching for it and once again make the user experience better. Lastly, we want you to optimize for local near me searches, which you should be doing for your mobile already, and this will drive voice searchers to your physical stores. All right, and now I want to take some questions.
Okay, yeah, we're seeing quite a few roll in, so we do want to just note that we'll take a few now, and whatever we can't get to, we'll definitely email you guys and get back to you after the webinar. The first question is actually quite an easy one. Will this be handed out after the fact? Yes, we'll have this recording and PowerPoint be able to be delivered to all attendees afterwards.
All right. The next one I see, will long tail searches become more prominent now that people don't have to type it all out? So yes, and this will open up a lot of new search trends, and this will also help retailers qualify customers who are further down the buying funnel.
Okay, great.
Okay, cool.
The second question, how are they pulling the information for voice search? Good question. So from what we've read, Google pulls information from things like Google Answers, the structured data that we mentioned before being an important source, as well as from open source publication sites like Wikipedia. Amazon Echo uses Microsoft Bing. I will say though, the space is evolving and there are a lot of unknowns, so it's important to take action and optimize for what we do know so far, one of them being, of course, that structured data piece.
Great. Okay, I think we have time for another question. So do you think other companies will start to develop other voice-first products? And for example, this would be Apple or Microsoft. Okay, great question. So yes, because technically they already have their assistants like Siri and Cortana, and the iPhone sort of is like a little virtual assistant, but of course it has a screen. But there have been a lot of reports suggesting that these voice-first assistants from Apple and Microsoft have already begun production. So we do envision that they will follow Amazon Echo and Google Home. If you think about it, a lot of the reason why Google Home was created was in response to Amazon Echo. So we imagine that the other giants would also do something like that.
Right. Okay.
All right, I think we have time for one more.
Yeah, so here's one. How do retailers differentiate between information-seeking voice searches versus commercial ones? Okay, good question. At this point, there's no way to do this, but hopefully once voice search is seamlessly integrated into current search platforms, this is something that we should be able to do. So just have to look out for the future for when this rolls out.
Great.
All right.
Okay. Don't see any other questions rolling in. So, okay, so we also want to invite you to subscribe to our Consumer Insight. Basically, the way it works is we had so much information from our survey that we couldn't possibly just pack it all into a 30-minute webinar. So we send weekly tips. You can see on the left, 11% of Amazon Echo users purchase through third-party apps such as Uber or Domino's. So we would be sending you a weekly tip, and you could go to netelixir.com/consumer insights to sign up. And thank you so much for joining us today. It was great to share our information with you.
Thank you, guys. Take care.